Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. Arsenal want a new contract for a star who is on Bayern Munich transfer wish list. Arsenal defender Takehiro Tomiyasu is reportedly on Bayern Munich's radar at the moment as Thomas Tuchel looks for a versatile defender of his caliber. However, the Gunners want to keep hold of the Japan international after his fine recent form and hope to tie him down to a new contract, according to the Telegraph. Tomiyasu has performed well since joining Arsenal from Bologna a few years ago, slowly becoming more and more of an established figure in Mikel Arteta's side, even if he still doesn't quite look like he is going to be a guaranteed starter for the foreseeable future. Arteta will clearly feel Tomiyasu's fine recent form and ability to cover a number of positions makes him a valuable asset in his squad. However, so the interest from Bayern could be a worry. With Jurriën Timber out with a lengthy injury and some signs of a loss of form from Zinchenko this season, one imagines Tomiyasu will continue to get a lot of playing time over the next few months at least. Bayern are a huge club, so could be a tempting option for Tomiyasu, but Arsenal seem set to do what they can to prevent the 25-year-old from leaving. Fabrizio Romano says Arsenal will definitely buy an incredible player in 2024. Fabrizio Romano has claimed that Arsenal will definitely sign David Raya permanently next year. The Transfer Insider has taken to YouTube with a video in which he provides information on several big transfer stories. Several of those involve Arsenal, and arguably the biggest one at present involves a deal that is all but done by the sounds of it. Arsenal signed Raya on an initial £3 million loan deal from Brentford last summer with a £27 million option to buy. This came after a very fruitful stint in West London, during which Raya became one of the Premier League's most promising and sought-after keepers. The Spaniard has since become Arsenal's first-choice goalkeeper and also made his competitive Spain debut during the November international break. Now, according to Romano, the Gunners will complete the formalities of the move. Indeed, Raya has apparently already signed a permanent contract at the Emirates Stadium. Romano said, about Arsenal, they will complete the first signing for 2024 and it will be David Raya. Raya had to join Arsenal on a permanent transfer. Then, what happened is that because of the financial fair play situation, Brentford accepted to complete a deal on loan with a buy option for David Raya. And so what happened is that Arsenal have this buy option to be triggered in 2024. They will trigger the buy option. The decision has been made. It will be £27 million from what I'm told. They already paid the part in terms of loan fee. They cover his salary for this season, of course, and they will pay £27 million. So it's guaranteed, it's for sure. Also important to say from my understanding that David Raya already signed the contract to join Arsenal on a permanent transfer. The deal is going to happen in 2024 and Raya will be Arsenal goalkeeper for the present and for the future. So the first signing for 2024 will be formally David Raya, no doubts on that. £20 million Arsenal player has no interest in leaving in January. Amid links to a departure, Arsenal defender Jakub Kiwior is determined to stay at the club and succeed under Mikel Arteta. That's according to Foot Mercato, who shared the information in a report detailing Kiwior's future. Arsenal signed Kiwior from Spezia Calcio for £20 million in January of this year, and given his role as a backup, clubs in Italy are now interested. This report states that all of Napoli, Roma and AC Milan have contacted Arsenal over Kiwior in recent weeks, a player Arsenal have no interest in selling. Similarly, Kiwior is determined to continue his stay in North London with Arsenal and aims to keep improving under Arteta. Of course, the Poland international does now looks closer to the Arsenal 11 more than ever. Tested as a left back in a preseason, Kiwior is now pushing for a starting role ahead of Gabriel Magalhaes at centre back, and Mikel Arteta's willingness to rest Gabriel for Kiwior on occasions has been testament to the improvement he is making. The 23-year-old now looks an excellent piece of recruitment and would be trusted in the 11 for long periods. Whilst there clearly has been interest in Kiwior via this report, it seems that incomings would appear more likely in January. Perhaps Cedric Soares would be the only player Arsenal would be looking to offload unless a sizable bid was received for Thomas Partey. Mikel Arteta's side are now regularly linked with a central midfielder and a striker ahead of the coming windows, but as is often the case with Arsenal, any business will probably be a surprise. However, fans will be relieved to hear that they shouldn't fear a shock with Jakub Kiwior, a player determined to succeed under Arteta at Arsenal. Sky reporter says £50 million Arsenal ace didn't train outside due to muscle injury. Arsenal defender Ben White appears to be a doubt for this weekend's return to Premier League action. Sky Sports reporter James Green has taken to X to update Gunners fans on what he saw in their open training session yesterday. He reported that White stayed inside at London Conley instead of going to train outside on the pitches. For other Arsenal players, Gabriel Magalhaes, Martinelli, William Saliba and Jesus all trained inside, according to Green. Meanwhile, Martin Odegaard is okay after injuries and training outside, while Smith Rowe and Thomas Partey are still a few weeks away. Earlier this week, Football London reported that White had been struggling with a muscle injury and is now being assessed ahead of Arsenal's trip to Brentford tomorrow. White has been an ever-present in the Arsenal backline since joining the club for a fee reported to be £50 million back in 2021. The 26-year-old has already gone past a century of competitive appearances for Arsenal and has played in all but one of the Gunners' games this season. That absence came in Arsenal's last game before the November international break, the 3-1 win over Burnley. Now it looks as though the Gunners may be without him again. For a player to not take to the training ground pitches 2 days before a match doesn't bode well in terms of his availability. If White remains unavailable, Arteta will probably opt to start Takehiro Tomiyasu on the right flank against Brentford. Arsenal now more likely to make move for incredible 23-year-old than Manchester United. Mikel Arteta is a huge fan of Pedro Neto, and Arsenal are now more likely to make a move for the winger than Manchester United during the January transfer window. That's according to a report from Team Talk, which notes that Wolves want at least £60 million before they sell the Portuguese, who has started the season in outstanding form. Pedro Neto has been a revelation at the beginning of this campaign. The 23-year-old has scored 1 goal and provided 7 assists in 10 Premier League appearances so far. Team Talk reports that he is expected to return from a hamstring injury before the January transfer window, and it seems that a host of sides are waiting to see how Neto fares upon his return. Liverpool have previously scouted Neto, but Team Talk is now suggesting that it's Arsenal and Manchester United leading the Premier League charge for his signature. There is also interest from the Saudi Pro League. Arsenal are said to be more likely to make a bid in January than Manchester United. Mikel Arteta is a big fan of the youngster. Meanwhile, the club's recruitment team have suggested that he would be the ideal option, and contact has been made with Jorge Mendes over a potential deal. Arsenal have spent a fair amount of money in the past few years, so if they are going to spend big on a single player in January, it really needs to be someone who can make a big impact. Neto has had issues with injury over the last couple of seasons. However, he is an incredible talent and he is only going to get better at this stage of his career. If he can stay fit, he could actually prove to be a bargain at £60 million, but Arsenal need to weigh up whether it's worth taking the risk as they prepare for another title charge. Mika Richards believes £100 million player is about to sign for Arsenal in January. Mika Richards has said that he thinks that Mikel Arteta's Arsenal are going to sign Ivan Toney in the January transfer window. The former Manchester City star and BBC Sport Pundit has noted how the Brentford striker would fit into Arsenal's style of play. So what has Mika Richards said about Arsenal target Ivan Toney? Let's take a look. Well, Arsenal have been linked with the Brentford striker Ivan Toney, a player Jamie Carragher thinks could win them the Premier League title. Journalist Bennett Jacobs has told Give Me Sport that Arsenal want to sign Ivan Toney from London and the Premier League rivals Brentford in the January transfer window. Jacobs has noted that Chelsea are interested in the England international as well, adding that the 27-year-old would prefer move to Arsenal to a transfer to the Blues. The Sun has also claimed interest from Arsenal in Toney, who has been described as a world-class player by former Man United goalkeeper Ben Foster. Former Man City star Mika Richards believes that Toney will move to Arsenal. Former Tottenham Hotspur striker Gary Lineker was speaking on the Rest is Football podcast. He said, "Does Tony get straight back in?" Newcastle United legend Alan Shearer noted, "Do you think they are trying to get right? I think with all the reports going around, I just think there is no smoke without fire. I don't know whether they think they can cash in on him." Richards replied, "They are touting him about, aren't they? They are just putting a couple of feelers out there to see how much they can get for him." Linker asked, "Who do you think might take him?" Richards responded, "Arsenal and Chelsea. I just believe Arsenal with Arteta he can be fluid in the way they play. So yes, I do feel he can fit into that style. They have a Trossard who fits into that false nine. They have Tony who could play further forward, Jesus who can play up front or on the left or the right. So yes, he would fit." Fabrizio Romano says Arsenal dream of signing £60 million Premier League star. Fabrizio Romano has provided an update on the state of play involving Arsenal and their interest in Douglas Luiz ahead of the January transfer window. Speaking on his YouTube channel, the Transfer Insider reiterated that Luiz is the top target for the Gunners next year. Arsenal dream of signing the Aston Villa and the Brazil midfielder, added Romano. However, he also acknowledged there is nothing concrete at present and it will not be an easy negotiation with the villains. He said, "The top target is Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa. There is nothing with Ruben Neves despite rumors, but for Douglas Luiz, from my understanding, it's not an easy deal. Arsenal will try. Arsenal dream of him, but it's not something concrete. So let's see what is going to happen because it's not an easy negotiation with Aston Villa at all." Luiz is a long-term target for Arsenal, who tried hard to try and secure his signature in 2022. The Guardian reported that the North Londoners failed with a deadline day move for the 25-year-old, and during the summer transfer window, journalist Dean Jones told Give Me Sport that Arsenal still want Luiz, saying it's an open secret. Earlier in November, Team Talk reported that Luiz has been valued at around £60 million. You can understand why Arsenal want to sign the Villa man. He has proven himself in the Premier League, in Europe, and on the international stage. Signing a key player from any club, particularly a top-flight club playing in Europe such as Villa, is very difficult mid-season. Why would a club willing risk derailing their season when they can just wait until the summer, if at all? With Luiz's contract running until 2026, Villa aren't in any rush. £45 million player is keen to join Arsenal in January. Manchester City midfielder Calvin Phillips is now set on remaining in the Premier League this season and would prefer a move to Arsenal. That's according to Tutto Juve, who confirmed that Phillips would prefer a move to Arsenal or Newcastle United should he leave City. The future of Phillips is bound to now be one of the most talked about subjects ahead of January, and with the Euros on the horizon, Phillips desperately needs regular minutes at club level in order to secure his starting role. Moreover, he does now have all the evidence he needs to confirm that he won't be receiving those chances under Pep Guardiola. Of course, it's particularly interesting to see Arsenal named as one of Phillips' preferred destinations. The club haven't been heavily linked with the £45 million midfielder, but he could still prove an astute signing. Declan Rice is currently playing in a number 8 role on the left, one that could be perfect for Phillips. Mikel Arteta's midfield would then almost perfectly mirror England's strongest, with Martin Odegaard playing a similar role to Jude Bellingham. Arteta's side have primarily been linked with midfielders considered to be a number 6 ahead of January. Both Douglas Luiz and Ruben Neves have been heavily mentioned, and although Luiz sits in the pivot for Villa, there is the belief among experts that he could be the perfect profile for the left side of Arsenal's midfield three. So that would again feed into the idea of Rice returning to the base of midfield as he would if Phillips signed. The midfielder looked brilliant in the pivot for Leeds United in the past, but is now also making the most of some of his attacking qualities. And if Calvin Phillips does make a concreted effort to leave Man City in January, there would be a ton of clubs competing with Arsenal. The report that supplies this information was originally explaining Juventus' interest, another club at which the England midfielder would thrive at. It's surprising that things haven't worked out better for unbelievable Phillips at City, but he may now have some exciting opportunities. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.